over the last 5 or 6 days again and again. Today, The Independent in the UK had it on their website. Now, it's an illustration by a cartoonist for Vanity Fair. His name is André Carillo, and I think it's self-explanatory, Mark. You can see a media scrum around a white patient and black patients being left ignored. Now, what he said is, he told the Huffington Post that he created the illustration to show how the media seems to treat epidemics differently depending on where they occur and to whom. And until American doctors treating the Ebola virus in West Africa were diagnosed, the outbreak had been largely faceless, just about statistics. And then once there were a few white victims, names and backgrounds began to be discussed. I suppose it's open to debate. I've seen a lot of criticism online of this cartoon as well. People saying it depends on what media you look at. There's been an awfully fair and thorough coverage of events in West Africa. In fact, I think it's fair to say France 24 has been covering it quite extensively. So I suppose it depends on what media you're looking at. Also, another criticism of the cartoon, which does to an extent, I suppose, make a valid point about maybe issues not being treated extensively enough by certain media, even if they're important issues. But of course, for example, US domestic media are going to take more of an interest in a virus if it's on home territory than if it's on another continent. So,
as perhaps we're seeing now with cases happening in the Western countries, if you like.
That's right. That's right. Some criticism as well, just to finish with this topic, of not just Western media coverage of events in West Africa or how the amount of deaths, but in Liberia too. This is an article going back to last week. There was criticism of the Liberian state for stifling the media coverage of the Ebola virus and how it's spreading there, I suppose, in a bid to avoid panic, etc. But some people saying, well, the public needs to be informed, and it's not by stifling the media that you're gonna prevent it's not a good way, a good approach.
Indeed, freedom of information is obviously the most important thing, so people know exactly what the situation is about. And of course, some people have said that if this had affected white people in the West, they would have found a cure for this years ago.
Indeed. So I think those who have that point of view, which is, I guess, the valid point of view, they might find that cartoon a fair representation.
It is starting to hit home.
Yes.
In the big Western countries where all the money is. James, next story you have, the Turkish media illustrating tensions between Islamists and Kurds.
That's right. Hurriyet Daily News, which has an English language version. A farewell to beards, men shaving to avoid jihadist stigma in southeast Turkey. Now, this is in the city of Diyarbakir, where supporters of the outlawed PKK, Kurdish Workers' Party, clashed with Turkish Hezbollah, which is a separate outfit in Turkey, not the Lebanese Hezbollah, who it was thought by these Kurds who clashed with Hezbollah members that they were sympathizers of the Islamic State organization. So wearing a beard seems to have had that effect. It seems to have been a factor in these clashes. So hundreds started rushing to barbers in Diyarbakir as these protests were taking place in order to not to be identified as Islamic State organization sympathizers. So it's an extraordinarily tense time, I guess, in southeast Turkey.
Illustration that prejudice and misconception and preconceptions can be found anywhere.
Absolutely.
Can you give us your final story, James? We're running out of time.
Yes.
Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
He's back.
That's right, he is back. After all these headlines, he's not as in Kim Jong-un, healthy, but I'm not saying where Kim is. These were the words of a North Korean ambassador. For the last 40 days, Mark, there's been all this speculation about whether he's unhealthy or what's going on. In any case, after a 40-day absence, he last appeared in public on September the 3rd at a concert in Pyongyang. He did reappear with a cane this time. So the official line is that he had an operation on his ankle, perhaps due to health issues, gout, some speculation that he might suffer from that. So it's made headlines across the world, people kind of trying to figure out what's going on there. Is there a power struggle at the top of the state? Does that explain his absence? Or is it really just health issues? In any case, it led to all sorts of fun headlines, such as this one retweeted by Slate.com. Kim Jong-un casually strolled back into public view with a slight limp today. Indeed, he was carrying a cane, but widely reported across North Korean media.
Who knows?
The global media.
Who knows where the truth lies?
Indeed.
James.
I don't anyway.
Thank you for giving us at least the illustrations that are going with it. James Creedon there with MediaWatch. Thank you, sir, very much indeed. Thank you also to Marcus Carson for all the business. Thank you for joining us too. Stay with us. More to come here, live from Paris. So.